For the simple fact, I am no Cowboys fan, but
This is true.
I am tired of seeing the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, great, phenomenal player, a feather in the cap of his generation of quarterbacks. You can't take that away from the guy, but fatigue on that franchise is something that the NFL probably won't understand because of viewership and everything that goes into it monetarily wise. But as a viewer, people, I think we're seeing a resurgence of the Cowboys, not just based off of the previous game, but the attitude, the energy that's going. Dak is due. He's due for something. He's either due for a flop or a pop. And
Fair.
this could be the game that revitalizes the entire franchise. The importance of this, not just on Thanksgiving Day, but overall for both of these clubs, is it's kind of heavy. It's kind of heavy. And I'm just saying this. I might get some heat from Charger fan. I mean, from Chiefs fans out there, but y'all can keep Kermit the Frog. I'm just saying, y'all can keep him.
It's a fair statement to say, I believe, that there's maybe one quarterback playing better at the position than Dak Prescott right now. Dak is playing out of his mind. The offense for the Cowboys is playing incredible.
He's playing like his life depended on. He's playing like he's seen that movie Him or whatever it was.
Yeah, if you were listening to us yesterday, you heard me say that if the Cowboys can win out, they can make the playoffs. And arguably, they can fight the Philadelphia Eagles for that division championship. I don't think they will. Let's be honest. I don't think they're fully there yet. But it's an entirely possible. It's entirely possible that it happens.
Yeah.
The one thing in this game that I think we have to highlight the most is the Chiefs have struggled away from home this year. They are 1-4 on a 6-5 record,
and usually on the road is where they thrive.
Yes. So I don't think that this game is going to be any easier for them. I think this is going to be a rough going. They're not going to have a run game really to lean on. And I know Andy Reid barely ever runs the ball to begin with, so it's really not going to hurt them that bad. But if you don't think that stopping the run against any football team is going to at least disrupt the momentum of the offense going forward, you're crazy. Because at this point going forward, you have to find a run game in order to be successful in the playoffs.
Most definitely. That's one of the biggest parts of offensive chaining in football in general, is having a strong run game. But the playoffs, I think most people coaches that know how important that is, you'll see an early establishment in the run game. Unless, hopefully, which sometimes we've seen backfire, they'll come out after the half and really try to punch that run game down a defense's throat. And sometimes that can backfire on you.
It can, absolutely. But at the same time, the team that is able to keep their momentum going through the run game, especially through the playoffs, is traditionally the one who wins the Super Bowl.
I got to agree with you on there, especially when franchises used to have a dual back system.
Exactly.
If you can remember back to where the 49ers had, I believe it was Barlow and Hurst.
Yes.
It was a 1-2 punch combo. And I wish they really could have gotten together back then. But the example of is just what I'm using. That kind of power in your run game is what gets you bowl games.
Right. And don't get me wrong, we all saw the Chiefs win Super Bowls off of Patrick Mahomes' arm.
Yes.
But we cannot forget that a lot of those key plays that were made, the key first downs to keep them going in drives, were runs by Isaiah Pacheco or whoever was at the running back at the time, whether it be Kareem Hunt, doesn't matter. It was the running game that really kept them going in a lot of these key momentum-needing points or momentum-needing plays that have really thrown them into that area.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the game, though? Who do you got winning? Because again, loser of this game most likely does not make the playoffs as we look at the Chiefs and the Cowboys.
I'm going to keep it real. The smart money would say, oh, they're the Chiefs because of past history and, just a record proven.
Fair.
But the underdog in me is like, I go on record as saying I am never been, and will never be a Cowboy fan. But I do think they're going to pull one off, Chris.
It's hard for me to say that I would pick the Cowboys over the Chiefs, but I agree with you.
I have so many things to dislike about the Cowboys.
I'm not confident in it, but I feel like the way the Cowboys have been playing, they're coming off a huge win against the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think they are on cloud nine, think they can beat anybody. And if they can go and beat back-to-back Super Bowl contending teams,
yeah,
can we imagine what they're going to feel like here in about a week or two?
I'm just going to say it right now. if the Cowboys end up in the Super Bowl, where's the bleep button?
We don't have one.
There's
We
got
don't
to be a
have one.
bleep button
We
right
do
now.
not have one. We do not have one. Do not make that slip.
Yeah, just don't come for me if they end up in the Super Bowl. Like literally, like you were saying, all jokes aside, the Cowboys do have enough talent. They do have enough
Yes.
of the consistency and tools at any game to snap
They
it
have-
together and beat considerably almost any team on the other side of the
Just
field.
to add to your point, throw it out there
And
for
I
the
hate 'em.
offense.
I hate 'em.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either.
But that's the truth.
Dak Prescott, top 5 in pass yards right now. George Pickens, if I'm remembering correctly, is number 2 in receiving yards. And Williams, the running back, I believe is top 5 in rushing yards right now.
That's all a threat.
That is all incredible to have in an offense. And if you don't think that's going to pile up and move forward, especially if the defense figures it out, this is going to be a contending team. And I think a lot of Cowboy fans have been waiting for this for a long time.
For a very long time, especially against the Chiefs, who have been nothing but short of perfect over the last few years.
Yes.
But when you see the wear and tear that it takes to maintain that top-tier performance in a football franchise, it's about time. It's about time for them to, kind of break down along the way and have some inconsistencies and lack thereof on defense. And I think it might be the most opportune time for the Cowboys defensively to get it together because offense is already starting to click and move the gears.
And again, a away record for the Chiefs that's 1-4 shows that there is a massive weakness away from Arrowhead, and that's gonna be exploited here as they head to Dallas.
Hopefully Dallas can take advantage because some teams, when they know that, they come out there punching on everything.
100%. Let's take a break real quick, and we'll get to the last game on Thanksgiving, plus your Friday game, because there's a fantastic game on Friday before we get to the slate of Sunday games. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about as well, plus some news out of the world of wrestling. We did get a statement from Penta about his injury and how serious it is. Thank God
He thinks he's Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon.
Man, at this point, he'll probably come back one-armed. I mean, think about it. But he's done some crazy stuff in his career, going all the way back to Lucha Underground, which we can't even get to at this point.
Oh, man.
Let's take a break. We'll get to all of that after the break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back.
Got the jams this morning, huh? Jamming.
When I'm behind the board, I get to pick the music.
Oh, hey, I
So
love Sparky because Rusty. Yeah,
I don't just listen to metal. I do appreciate
yeah.
the metal in the morning. It does wake
It
me up.
gets me going. That's
It
part
does
of,
get me going.
part of my
I
gym
won't
playlist.
deny on that one. But it is what it is, man. I love hip hop too. So let's hit this last game real quick before we move over to all the miscellaneous stories we wanted to get to. We got the return of Joe Burrow
Oh
as
yeah,
the Cincinnati Bengals try to survive their, or at least revive their playoff hopes. They have to win out literally and hope a couple things go their way on the other end as well in terms of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
JB's got it. He's got the
But
juice.
see, here's the thing. And they'll be taking on the Baltimore Ravens, who are also red hot right now, figuring out their momentum and actually using it to their advantage. And my point being this, the quarterback has never been the problem. Well, I shouldn't say never been the problem because let's be honest, Jake Browning was a problem.
Yeah.
But the quarterback is not the current problem for the Cincinnati Bengals. The current problem for the Cincinnati Bengals is your offensive line is about as soft as toilet paper, 10 ply,
wet toilet paper.
and your defense is even softer.
Yeah, it is what
And
it
your
is.
two star defensive ends, Trey Hendrickson, who you've already pissed off because he doesn't want to play for you anymore because you didn't want to pay him, and the rookie that you barely got signed at like what the umpteenth hour at the end of all of it because you didn't want to give incentives, well, certain incentives, which again I don't necessarily fault them for fully, but
Yeah, at that
it's
point.
just one of those situations that you got to be able to sign your first round pick. It's the
That's
easiest thing to do in football. It's been said multiple times.
That goes to show you what's going on in their front office.
No, 100%. We've touched on that many times in the past.
Cincinnati, I almost want to say needs an overhaul in management.
It's fair.
It could really benefit the mental morale of your franchise to see that these guys really are taking player initiative or concern seriously,
Right.
enough to even let it trickle down on what's going on with the coaching staff.
Well, okay, but
What's not just that. We see the problems that we're having on the field as far as player
fair.
personnel. But there's got to be somewhere where you hit the switch and say, okay, let's not to say start over, but how can we incentivize these guys to really care? If the millions of dollars that we're paying these guys in the front office and on the field aren't mattering, what is missing?
So I think that is a common question in sports today, and that they can be set across the board in any organization.
Definitely.
But I feel like it's also somewhat unfair because I do feel like there are players out there who do have motivation and do
genuinely,
that are still old school and want to win championships and do all that.
This is generational changing wealth and opportunity.
Right. I think that just the overwhelming number of athletes now are those kind of athletes that, yes, probably would like to win a Super Bowl ring, but really wouldn't hurt if they didn't and are more looking for the cash cow to, get themselves and their family into different levels of, monetary gain. But it just, I see the point and I understand what you guys are saying, but I don't necessarily think that ties in right now. I think what it is just the front office of the Cincinnati Bengals are incredibly they're not doing a very good job at all. You need a massive overhaul throughout that entire
Are they
building.
watching the games? Or are they just taking
not.
Sunday off and doing what they want to do?
Probably taking Sunday off more than likely. But again, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. They firmly believe in Joe Burrow in this offense, but I say the same question I've said many, many times. Can the offense score 50 points? Because your defense is going to be giving up 45. And if you can't score 50, high numbers every single week, ain't no way you're going to be keeping up with this team. And the Baltimore Ravens defense is not anything to slouch about.
Never has
In the
been.
beginning of the year, they didn't look great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They had a lot of injuries. Kyle Hamilton was banged up. Smith was banged up. But now all of those guys are back. Well, not all of them. I think they're still missing a key defensive lineman who's out for the entire year. But that's besides the point. At this point right now, the leaders of the defense are back. And I think Baltimore is going to find a way to just disrupt this entire thing and make Joe Burrow's comeback look a little silly. And we're going to be talking about this on Monday of Was this a smart idea? Should they bench Joe Burrow for the rest of the year just to make sure that he doesn't get hurt again? Because again, if he gets hurt, we're looking at an Andrew Luck, RG3 kind of situation of an incredible talent that is not going to be able to play because of an injury that somebody played him into.
Don't put that jacket on that boy.
I hope I don't have to,
I
but
hope
that's
you
where
don't
we're
either.
headed.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, that is, yeah. That's
especially Andrew Luck, because the Andrew Luck thing, he was an incredible talent that could have taken the Colts most likely to a Super Bowl if he had an offensive line that would have kept him upright.
Well,
and look what the Cincinnati Bengals are doing, the exact same thing.
I would have to say, honestly, I agree with you entirely, because you would have to be Stevie Wonder not to see that happening potentially in this game.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, especially when quarterback, any athlete coming back from an injury, not just mentally, physically, the fragility that you could say, the vulnerability that someone is exploited and re-injured is highly probable right now.
And let's look at the rest,
especially with JB.
Let's look at the rest of the season. Let's just be fair and look at the rest of the season for the Cincinnati Bengals. So after this game against the Ravens, which is in Baltimore, by the way, they head to Buffalo in the cold of December.
No cakewalk there.
Then they head home to play the Ravens again. And then they have the Dolphins, Sparky's Dolphins, which is probably the easiest game in this entire line. Or actually, no, I take that back. The next game after that, the Cardinals at home. That's probably the easiest game in this entire lineup. And then they take on the Browns to end the year at home, who, again, although we like to make fun of the Browns offensively, that's still the number 2 defensive team in the entire NFL, led by Myles Garrett, who is arguably looking like the second coming of Reggie White.
And don't let Cleveland actually start clicking on offense with Shedeur at the helm now, because that would just that'd be a nightmare for them.
That's what I'm saying. So if one bad block by a blindside tackle and he gets crushed,
it could end his career.
We're talking about a completely different story here for the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't like them to win this game. I wish they would just, I hope the best. I really do. I hope the best for Joe and Jamar and this entire offense. And I hope they could score 50 points a game. I really do. But Joe Flacco wasn't doing bad. And at this point right now, you're throwing out your star piece, literally the center of the franchise. And if something bad happens,
that's on management.
It's coming down on their head. You're absolutely right. Let's talk about the Friday night game before we get out of here and go to a break real quick, my friend. We got a fantastic game to wrap out that before we get to our Sunday slate, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Chicago Bears.
Bears.
I love the Bears right now.
Bears.
And again, we talked about the Lions in the first segment and the loss of their coaching staff. Ben Johnson, obviously the offensive coordinator once for the Detroit Lions, heading to Chicago to be the head coach there. He's finally got the offense clicking in a way he likes it. Caleb Williams, although probably not as accurate as he would like as the head coach would like him to be.
Still efficient
and still making some incredible plays. He's really showing the magic that everybody knew him for at Oklahoma and USC. But do they pull off the win against the Super Bowl champs? Especially Super Bowl champs that are pretty dang embarrassed right now.
Yeah, I would say, anything's possible in the NFL, but I would put my money on Philly coming out there with a mean streak, ready to punch a hole in the wall. After that embarrassment to the Cowboys, I know Philly fans were livid. You can go online and, Gilly the Kid, he's a huge Philadelphia fan. He wears the oversized hat, comes out to the too short, all that. They bring him on the field. Great guy. But if you look, the overall consensus is much like how he feels in Philadelphia as far as the fans after taking that loss to Dallas, which I don't think any of us seen coming.
No.
So expect for Philadelphia to be on a tear and get back established in the conversation of contendership for the Super Bowl.
This is going to be an interesting game, in my opinion.
There's a lot of pride on the line.
You have two teams that are absolutely on fire. One of them may have lost last week, but realistically speaking, that was on a wild. I won't even call it a fluke. I think it was just more of oversight.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to walk away with it and they got comfortable, and that's when it really started going downhill for them. That's that's how they let up 24 points unanswered and lost the game. But if you look at the struggles of the Philadelphia Eagles throughout this entire year, the offense has never really looked like itself. Saquon Barkley still has yet to find himself at the running back position. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with the offensive line and how they've had to make changes since the Jason Kelce move. Lane Johnson has been banged up this year. I don't know if they're really playing at a level that can take them back to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, we don't want to see them slide backwards down this slope because these inconsistencies or losses changes their whole placement and stance in the division and could jeopardize their Super Bowl contendership for this next upcoming season. It's unfortunate, and we hope it's not something that continues to reappear in their performance. Let Dallas's game be that game. And if we still see that, that hangover of a loss that most
Right.
teams will have off of a shocking loss, then this could lead to, well, it was great to see you, Philly, but next season.
Well, and see, that's funny because these types of games, or at least these types of teams where we're talking about, or like we be talking about, you would be assuming that they're just having, unlucky situations, maybe in turnovers or something like that. But that's not the case here. The team has been pretty dang efficient. They just
Yeah.
can't get it in the end zone at certain times, and the run game hasn't been there at all. And like we were talking about earlier with the Chiefs, this is the time of year where every offense has to open up the playbook and figure out how they're going to get the run game going, because it is pivotal to win a Super Bowl.
And some teams just coast like through the regular season till this time of the season and really turn on the afterburners.
100%. 100%. So who is your thought to win this game right now? ESPN has the Eagles favored at 68%. I don't like those numbers. Personally, I'm going to take the Bears to win this game. I love what Ben Johnson has rolling with his offense. They've been efficient. They have blown everybody out of the water. And I think this is their first test to really show everybody they can take on a winning team and still win.
I would have to agree. I want to say Philly just because, they've been consistent. One bad game doesn't define how they're playing consistently,
Fair.
but it does, give you a nice little asterisk next to, yeah, Dallas did kind of get you. They snuck up on you there, but I don't think they're going to let that happen this time. So I would go with the Eagles.
I would say that the X factor, if you are correct, for the Eagles to win is going to be the front seven. It's going to be Jalen Carter and it's going to be Davis. Can they get to Caleb Williams and actually take him down? Because we've seen Caleb under pressure a lot. We've seen Caleb run around a lot. And when he runs, it's not the same kind of quarterback. So can they disrupt Caleb? That's going to be the X factor, in my opinion. I just think the Chicago Bears offensive line, which has been completely retooled and revitalized this year, has every bit of the talent they need to thwart that fantastic front seven for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's take a break real quick. We'll get to some of the other stories that have come out. We had a suspension in the Jawan Jennings and the Carolina Panthers beef.
There.
No, we are not.
We're not surprised.
And thank God it's the right guy. So we'll get to that on the other side of the break as well. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And we are streaming today live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 AM. We are also streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also find us all over the place on social media, TikTok, TikTok, Instagram, all that type of good stuff. Just look up the Early Bird Special. You'll see our logo there. Like, share, subscribe, all that type of good stuff to keep up to date on all things sports. We got a couple miscellaneous stories in the world of football to get to before we get to the rest of this list of things we got to talk about before the holiday week. Plus, we'll have Bolt Brady at 8:30. We'll give you his picks over the weekend. Hopefully, help you make some money. We had a suspension in the NFL yesterday.
Finally,
Trayvon Morig will be suspended 1 game for the low blow to Juwan Jennings,
the
and
puncher of jewels.
thank God, no suspension or fine for Juwan for the altercation afterwards. I think everybody that was watching that game could kind of
See that coming.
sympathize,
Yeah.
with Juwan Jennings in this situation. But how'd you feel about this entire suspension? We talked about it yesterday that we were hoping we weren't going to see something go against Jennings, but obviously the NFL sided with us and many, many others that were watching and obviously talking about this yesterday
Well,
because I think it was pretty unanimous. We all said, yeah, it should be going against Carolina's corner.
I feel like it's a very light suspension and penalty. I haven't seen anything about financial fines yet, but being suspended 1 game without pay for striking San Francisco 49er
Well,
wide receiver Juwan Jennings,
that in itself,
It's-
though, is a fine. Let's be fair.
yeah, those game checks are pretty chunky.
Yes, and although this was egregious, don't get me wrong.
Super uncalled for. Like I can get a
I-
strike to the face mask.
Fair.
We see that very, very often when teams have a scuffle.
Right.
But deliberately, like punch someone in the groin.
I mean, it is ridiculous. It is
Dude, come
absolutely
on.
ridiculous.
We can't tolerate this kind of
No.
behavior anymore in the NFL. You
And
guys,
what's going on in the NFL? We're spitting on guys more now. We're punching each other in the groin. Like
I think of the NFL.
we're
not-
going NFL street. Is what's happening.
not to say that they're in a hole for viewership or ratings, but certain things you kind of look at is like, well, especially if you're part of the whole media conglomerate with that, how some people say, well, any press is good press, and not really, man.
Not in this instance.
If I want to watch combat sports, we've got plenty of platforms. If I want to watch football, I don't want to see a fight happen on the field. We know these things happen, and we're not going to take our eyes away from them. But that's like premeditated assault. You kind of destroyed this, or attempted to destroy this guy's ability to
or
procreate.
at least maybe you didn't pre-think of doing it to Juwan, but you've at least thought about doing it to other players,
And I'm
right?
pretty sure he's gotten away with doing
Or
that to
maybe
players
doing
in
it to
the
other
huddle.
people. That's the other thing too. I kind of
Yeah.
want to hear any other player that's played against this guy that it's said it's gotta be, it's something that he has done. You know what I mean? Like this is something he's known for.
You got a player that takes you. I can hear him right now. And then you just punch him in the. Like, come on, man. We've heard of all kind of stories that happen, on the field when people are piling on each other, especially those old NFL documentaries where guys used to take the, icy hot in their hand and rub it on a guy's forehead and it sweat down in his eyes and he couldn't see it. Or, the tar tape on certain things or whatnot receivers would use or DBs would use and all kind of things. But this caught in 4K punching a guy between his legs, I think it's a little light just to be suspended 1 game. I don't care.
You think it should have been more?
I definitely think it should have been more, coupled with a financial fine of something significant. That's just uncalled for.
No, absolutely. But I mean, okay, since we're bringing up both sides of this of the coin, I guess
a street fight is one thing, but you guys are playing an NFL game.
Fair. But let's also say that maybe let's be fair and play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Maybe Juwan said something.
Words.
Maybe Juwan brought this upon himself. Is there anything that you think that could have been done or said throughout the game that could have maybe brought this up and said, okay, clearly there was some sort of altercation that led to this?
Unless
you know what I mean?
he disrespected a dead family member.
Right.
and spat in his eye.
And even then,
with morning breath, it's still just uncalled for, man. Words should not provoke you to violence, but that's hearsay, to each their own type of thing, especially when you're on the field in the heat of play. Still have some decency, man. It's a violent game, of course, but
It shouldn't be that kind of violence.
It's we're not watching
like
Monday
Dana
Night
White
Raw.
in the UFC doesn't even allow this.
Come on, man.
And let's be honest, that's not even the traditional wrestling way of going about it either. They don't even do that. Like that's
I'm watching
ridiculous.
the footage right now, and I'm trying to like we say, play devil's advocate, benefit of the doubt, and everything. It doesn't matter what it was. You literally did the unthinkable. Since man has walked upright in the world and know what vulnerabilities and buttons not to push on himself or another person, that's crazy to me. Like,
that's fair.
You might have to get a little counseling. Why was that the first thing you wanted to punch? What, you couldn't punch him in the face? You didn't want to? So let's get this guy a little therapy.
I mean, yeah, let's figure out
let's just say not therapy.
Again,
go to counseling.
I think you made a good point there. This may have been premeditated, maybe not against Juwan.
I hope he was not thinking about that all game. Like, as soon as this guy gets in my face, I'm gonna punch him.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm gonna punch him right.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Like, come on,
what led to this, or is this just something this dude does? Like, I need to know
both.
I need to hear from somebody in the league that says, "No, this is something this guy does. He's either dirty or this was just a frustration thing."
What if he's just the first one to get caught, and other league players,
do the same thing?
I'm gonna go ahead and give him one right in the stuffing right there. Like, come on, man.
Watch this be some sort of old tactic his high school coach taught him. Something like that. The other story let's get to real quick before we get to a break. The Buffalo Bills have finally decided to get some wide receiver help for Josh Allen as they sign Brandon Cooks, who recently was let go from the New Orleans Saints. Rightfully so. They weren't using him down there, and it was supposed to be a reunion tour for him, to be fair. But Josh Allen finally getting a deep threat and somebody that is a consistent wide receiver, in my opinion. If he's ever had a good quarterback, he is always a 1,000-yard wide receiver. So I think he's going to be a big impact player for this Buffalo Bills team that has been desperately looking for somebody to pair alongside Keon Coleman. If Keon can show up to a meeting and actually, get on the field. I mean, that's the long and short of it. And what's funny is I can't remember who told me this or brought this up, but they brought up a really good point. It's Buffalo. What are you doing in Buffalo that you can't show up to a team meeting on time? Like, this isn't Vegas. This isn't LA.
It's not Frisco.
You can't you got caught, in traffic, or, you lost track of time shooting a commercial. No, this is Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Where literally there's two things that are a constant in Buffalo, New York. It snows and Buffalo Bills football. Those are the two things that are pretty dang consistent. So how can you not show up to a meeting?
And the wings.
Yes.
Buffalo wings.
And you know what? I'll give you that. I'll give three consistencies. Three consistencies in Buffalo. But regardless, I think this is a good move for Buffalo. They've desperately needed some wide receiver help. Even the move for Amari Cooper a couple years ago didn't pan out for him. Stephon Diggs didn't pan out for him. I'm hoping Brandon Cooks can come in here and be.
As long as they don't try to bring back or bring in Odell Beckham. I don't know.
Well, Odell's trying to serve out that suspension for his PED use, because I think he got called by the Giants at one point when Neighbors got or was injured.
And you're starting to see a lot of reissuing and just revamping of drug test policies in the NFL right now, with the surge of peptides being a new supplement of PEDs that aren't technically classified as off-season PEDs in general because of their makeup. And that's something that, we can get into later, but I think we're going to see a lot of guys eventually start getting popped as the NFL tightens down on what's classified as PEDs, especially in the offseason.
So in your opinion, what are we talking about here? So you think they're going to be cracking down on like testosterone boosters and stuff like that?
I wouldn't say, that pretty much, I'm not too sure if they're already cracking down on that, but certain stacks of peptides, recovery, maybe unlocking, dormant testosterone or whatnot, because we all know HGH, steroids, all that stuff. Those are elite. Well, those are out of the question. And not just that, they're super dangerous for high performance athletes, because your heart is a muscle.
Right.
And these things can lead to stroke, blood clots, all types of nefarious health issues. But you're seeing this, especially with the blood doping of Lance Armstrong a few years ago. More than a few years ago. But now it's so, I'd have to say, pushed to the back burner because they don't know how to address certain things unless you're blatantly caught. There is a huge omission in certain things, I'd have to say a lot of players have gotten away with over the years, because when you just look at how they're performing, it's unfathomable. It's unbelievable. And to perform at that level for so long, intensely, you're gonna have to be putting something in your body.
That's
Just
fair.
it's just common sense. Now, whether you have a great trainer, super good nutrition program, and the league is monitoring you down to the molecule, I think that's the only way we're gonna kind of eliminate the PED issue that's gonna plague every sport, especially over these next 5 to several years as we see the dramatic rise in peptide PED use.
Interesting. Okay, I'll have to look into that. I was
Yeah.
not aware of that. But let's take a break real quick. We got a couple minutes, and I'd like to get into some of this college football stuff going on right now, because the entire college football world right now is on its head after Oregon jumped over Ole Miss last night in the college football playoff rankings. Plus, we got some news out of Brian Kelly's camp.
I heard USC is gonna be playing at SoFi. Is
Uh,
that true?
Well, no, UCLA.
Okay,
UCLA is trying to
UCLA.
move to SoFi, which is a story we had brought up a couple weeks ago. They
That's
haven't really moved on from that. They were just leveling out the possibility because the Rose Bowl is so far away from the college and SoFi is so
mm,
much closer. But they also have
mm.
a contract with the Rose Bowl that, if they void that contract, would have been billions upon billions of dollars
Well, I
lost for
guess
the
you just
entire
answered
city
my
of
boy
Pasadena.
Steve's
So
question. He posed that to me yesterday. I said, I
yeah.
gotta ask Chris
No,
about that.
UCLA is the one that'll be moving to SoFi if they can get it done. But I'm also sitting here thinking, does SoFi want a college team playing on it? They already got 2 NFL teams they have to deal with. You want a college team in there too? My God.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Let's take a break real quick, though, and we'll get to all the college football news that we can. And then on the other side of the break as well, don't forget, Bolt Brady from Bolt Brady and his bro at the BLEAV Network will be joining us, hopefully making you some money over the weekend, as we have an incredible slate of football games scheduled for you. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back.
Oh yeah.
This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. And don't worry, that was the radio edit. Calm
Mhm.
down. All
Hey,
y'all.
let me tell you something I'm not gonna calm down about. That blueberry donut I just had, that was the first I didn't even know a blueberry donut existed.
Big thank you to Spark for coming in with the
Oh, yeah,
Foster's
Spark
Donuts
Dog.
on his day off.
Appreciate
We
ya.
appreciate you, and I know he's listening right now, and we love you.
I didn't even know that was a real thing. A
No,
blueberry donut
blueberry
glazed?
glazed donut, Foster's. I'm telling you,
That
it's the
should be
best donuts in
illegal.
town. It's the
That
best
should
donuts
that
in town.
yeah,
There's nobody better than Foster's Donuts. I've grown up going to Foster's Donuts. I will forever go to Foster's Donuts until they close their doors, and I hope that never happens.
ever.
I hope it never ever happens.
Gotta take the children there.
Smiths. I know you got a long history, and I love you too, especially the cookies.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Oh, yeah.
there's something about Foster's Donuts that just
Yeah.
a little bit better, just a little bit better. But don't you dare bring some Krispy Kreme around me, though. Keep that away. Keep
Hey,
that garbage out of here.
you take that blasphemy talk somewhere else.
Krispy Kreme is not worth it. I'm
You ever
sorry.
tried a Luther burger?
It was a Luther.
It's a burger with extra bacon and a heart attack on the side, served between 2 glazed cream
See,
donuts.
this is something I don't need in my life.
I don't either, but I've seen them go around.
I'm good. I don't need that in my life. I put enough in
Sounds
me.
sounds like it'll back you up. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
It's not something we do
Yeah.
experience. Although I am the one of the people that went and tried the Uncrustable burger at the fair this year. Honestly, it was fantastic. You
It
missed out on that. I'm sorry. We probably won't bring it back because that's just how the fair works. It's a
Yeah.
one and done kind of a thing.
You gotta
Sorry.
be there.
You got to be there. You missed out. Sorry about that. Show up next year. Maybe that's something equally as good. We do not nearly have enough time for me to break down the stuff in the college football realm, so we will get to that on the other side of the break, as well as our guy Bolt Brady, and we got some news in the wrestling world to talk about. Plus, I want to play that audio for you guys from the Lee Stephanie McMahon interview. I thought it was fantastic. I got to catch the second half of it yesterday. Her entire discussion about just her bipolar disorder and working through that, and how she believes it is a group of different people that need to help you kind of get through that. It's a great talk. Go check it out with Stephanie McMahon. The What's Your Story podcast has been fantastic. One of the fantastic slate of shows that they have with the WWE. Before we get out of here, we did have a couple text messages. 661-842-2000 is the number to text or call at any point in time. We'd love to talk to you before the Thanksgiving break. We have a text here that said, as a Ravens fan, I'm still thinking the Bengals win. That's a lot of faith that's
Yeah.
not there, my friend. And I get it. Trust me, you heard me a couple weeks ago call for John Harbaugh's job, and I'm still not fully off that train, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Yeah, it's a possibility. A slim one, but it's still a possibility.
Absolutely, my friend. Honestly, it's one of those that if they don't make the playoffs, I don't think he's necessarily fired. Let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
But if it continues to go this route and there's not a lot of success, can't say that your job is safe.
Good luck on your future endeavors.
Absolutely. Let's take a break real quick. On the other side, we'll talk about all things college football and wrestling before we get to Bolt Brady. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back.
Oh,
Hour two
yeah.
of the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield,
Music gets me
101.1 FM,
pumped. Yeah.
12:30 a.m.
Yeah. I hear you guys got some more wrestling right there to talk about everything going on in the AG League, and then we go back to college football and Brian Kelly, the Macho Man, likes that. Yeah.
I swear, man, you do the best Macho Man impression.
It's
one of the best ones I've heard.
You just got to have a little feral dirt in you. Yeah,
See, I don't think I have that.
That's just
I
a little
can't
bit, just so you,
Can't get that raspy.
or you just got to stub your toe real hard, and that voice will stick
Ooh,
with you for the rest
yeah.
of your life.
Yeah, but
We're
that's
not
a
going to say
different
I don't
kinda-
have a pinky toe anymore because of
You ain't gonna be saying, "Oh yeah," at that point.
yeah,
Though.
yeah, we're gonna say, "Oh, call 911."
Oh Lord.
All right.
Let's jump into the world of college football before we get our guy Bolt Brady in here. He gives you his picks
Yes,
the
sir.
week. There's fantastic games across the board, but everybody's talking about the college football playoff rankings right now as they were released last night, and we had a shakeup upon shakeups because Ole Miss got jumped by
Bam.
the University of Oregon, who now sits at number 6 on the list. Ole Miss will stay at 7. A lot of people in Ole Miss camp not happy about this whatsoever, but I kind of understand when you look at the body of work that Oregon has done. I mean, they're one of the top rushing teams in the nation, if not the top rushing team in the Big Ten.
What do we say about a strong run game?
It's true. They just took down USC, which was number 15 in the nation. I think they've played rougher competition right now, or in the last couple of weeks, than Ole Miss has. So it kind of makes sense that they would make that jump over them. Both teams still in the hunt, still in the playoff right now, which will actually be talked about in an expansion here. They were supposed to have a deadline on December 1st, if I remember correctly, but they've actually extended that until January of next year. So most likely we'll get an answer if we're going to get an expansion of this college football playoff in general, because they'll be talking about either expanding it to 24 teams or 16. So we'll find out here very, very soon how that's going to go. In terms of the ranking in general, though, Tulane was still number 12, and it ranked down from there. No big shakeups this week. Alabama, I believe, still at 10. And again, Ohio State and Indiana stay strong at number 1 and 2, with Georgia at 4 and Texas A&M at 3. I don't see a lot of changing happening in the last week here, but it is rivalry week coming up, so who knows? A lot of these teams may get upset here in the next upcoming weeks to come. I would love to see a lot of these teams get defeated, but to be honest with you, I think this is essentially what we are going to see going forward into the playoff. And honestly, might be the best slate of teams in terms of competition going in as well. Although I would love to say the USC Trojans are part of that.
I think we all would, just being California natives and whatnot. But I agree with you. It's kind of set. If you're looking at it right now, this is kind of how it's going to look for the rest of the foreseeable future, unless something dramatic happens.
Right.
And I say that in a good way. Let's make sure that all these players have a great rest of the season, no injuries or whatnot, because this is our future NFL picks right here. You know what I mean? Potentially.
And one team that may be knocked in or out could be the Miami U, because obviously that's the ACC championship. And if they lose that, then obviously they're not in. But I still have a strong feeling that Carson Beck is going to figure out a way to get that team into the playoff. How they fare while in the playoffs, though, is going to be the big question, because I don't think they have the talent. I think they're great in terms of looking flashy down there in the ACC, but taking on somebody in the SEC or even the Big Ten right now, I can't say that the Miami team has any real chance to upset anybody right now.
Well, some people would feel opposite of that, but I don't think that someone's opinion is as informed as your observation. And I got to lean with you on the fence on that. You know what I mean? Miami, they've had their time in the sun.
Oh yeah,
they've had their time.
It's starting to come back around. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, Cam Ward last year brought them back to some sort of relevancy. This year, Carson Beck transferring over made them very, very much a threat. I just, again, looking at their schedule and looking at what they'll be going up against in the future, it's a vast difference. It's so competition is way night and day.
I think more college teams are looking at potential rather than hype.
Right.
Some college franchises, they look at it as like, okay, we've got popular players or whatnot. Then you have teams that you've never heard of this guy, and he just barrels through everybody. He catches everything or throws perfectly. So when I say that about Miami, did they really get better, or did they just get kind of more popular? Or actually, did they just get reintroduced into the conversation of relevancy again?
That I think it's probably the latter. I
Yeah.
think that it's probably just the fact that they have now come back into the world of relevancy, which is a good thing for the
Yes,
youth.
yes.
It's a
Conversation-wise,
fantastic
you
thing for
got to
the
be in the conversation to be relevant.
especially in this NIL situation. If you don't
Which is
think
crazy.
Miami is going to be one of those hotspot teams in the next 5 years, I think you're crazy. I really do
Yeah.
think that that's going to be one of the most popular schools for players to go play for, because it is Miami and
Yeah.
there's going to be money flowing through that school. But at this point right now, I just don't know if they have the roster strength to really usurp anybody. And I still say your final is going to end up being Ohio State and Indiana. There are no two better teams, led by two of the best head coaches in the country in Ryan Day and Coach Cignetti. I don't see anybody else in the final besides those two. So, but that's just me. The other story we got to get to real quick before we get to a break, just because I thought this was funny. We've been covering this ever since it started. In fact, me and Sparky were very, very adamant at the beginning of the year this man was not going to be with LSU Tigers at the end of it.
God.
But Brian Kelly, more information is coming out about this situation. And it's weird information now in the sense of his camp is now blaming LSU, saying that he can't find a job because they haven't properly fired him. So if you haven't been following this story,
Squeeze me? Wait a minute. Not properly fired.
The College of LSU has been trying to find a way to essentially fire Brian Kelly without having to pay him the money that he is owed in the contract. The only way to do so is to find out a way to fire him with cause. He has been let go, but at the time they didn't give a cause. They just let him go. His legal team, Brian Kelly's legal team, is arguing he was let go without cause. LSU has been saying they haven't actually formally let him go at all yet.
They just haven't been in communication with him.
Exactly.
Would that technically classify as a suspension?
I'm not 100% sure exactly
because if
how
he
this
hasn't
would
been
follow.
notified about anything other than just the
it has been heavily reported that he has been told he has been fired. Like, don't get me wrong. Like he
has LSU put out an official statement.
I'm not sure on that part. That is one of the things that I needed to look into, and I haven't gotten a chance to do so. But
maybe
at
there's
this
some
point
type
right
of
now,
clause or agreement upon not to make it public till everything's finalized.
It's possible, but at the same time, they were also claiming that the athletic director at the time, Sam Woodward, who is now no longer with the team either because they let him go, didn't have the authority to fire Brian Kelly from the get-go without the board's approval. I also, when we were covering this, though, said that out loud. You can't really fire a coach without the school's approval of it, even if you are the athletic director. But that was kind of my thing, was you would have had to go to the board to get the okay to fire him in the first place. I highly doubt the athletic director just looked at Brian Kelly and said, "You're fired."
Yeah.
So this entire thing is starting to get a little more sticky because, again, LSU hasn't necessarily formally fired Brian Kelly from his position, but he's not the head coach at LSU. It has been very, very widely known that he has been let go from that position. And now because of this, his camp is claiming he can't find another coaching job, which also, ironically, would take away the money that they owe to this, or they're sorry, that he would be owed, because much like the James Franklin situation, now being the new head coach of Virginia Tech, he now no longer gets paid the ridiculous amounts of money he was going to get paid from Penn State. So if Brian Kelly went and found a different job, he also, most likely in the contract, would be stated that he would not get paid the $54 million that he would need to be paid out from the contract. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot here, because if he does have suitors that want to sign him as the head coach, why are we waiting to let him go?
Yeah, that could turn around and bite LSU in a place where they really don't want to get hit. And I'm talking about the pocketbook right there. You know, you got to look at if you're preventing this guy from seeking other forms of employment there, and it comes back in his favor legally. Let's just say there's some type of suit and everything that goes along with that. What we usually see in these situations, business-wise.
Right.
This could be a detrimental blow to LSU's program in every facet of their athletic department.
Well, and that was one of the big gripes of why they didn't like the contract to begin with, is because, and as the governor states, the blowback would be on the taxpayers of Louisiana.
And nonetheless, this could open up a whole chain of events of previous administration that feel they have been
Right.
let go without just cause. And this could financially cripple LSU's, whole backing right there.
Well, I mean,
If it was to go
they'd
down that
make
rabbit
it
hole.
back in a year. Let's be
With
fair.
all the
I mean,
boosters and everything going
with the
on.
amount of money they get from the sports teams and all that type of stuff, I
Yeah.
highly doubt they'd really make that much or be hurting that much. But the entire idea would be, and I've said this in the past before when it came to their coaching search, not a lot of coaches are going to want to work with you if they think that you're going to lowball them on a contract.
Yeah.
At the same time as pretty much just whenever you get fired, they're going to find a way to not pay you the money.
And I don't think Brian Kelly's going to go anywhere for the minimum.
No,
There's no way he's going to
absolutely
take
not.
a minimum. Even if you could say somebody loves coaching that much, I don't think he loves coaching that much.
No, not in today's game. And I mean,
Nah.
again, especially with the news that we've heard out of the camp of how he treated the players
And
and
as
how
much
the
as these
relationships
coaches make.
were. Yeah, like this guy is very, very much in it for the money, or maybe just has a different kind of mentality and thought process of it all.
Yeah.
But in terms of him not being able to find a job because LSU hasn't formally let him go, it's kind of a weird, snake eating its own tail thing.
Yeah.
It's like one of you two's got to let go. Either LSU's going to formally fire this guy, let him go find a new job, or
where can you see Brian Kelly landing in the college field of coaching if he is, formally let go and able to seek employment elsewhere?
maybe Arkansas or something of that nature. I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure, to be honest with you. It'd probably be a lower SEC team or maybe a Big Ten team that reaches out to him. He will
Big Ten, I could definitely see him landing there.
he's going to stick to most likely one of the bigger conferences because that's what he's been around outside of Notre Dame. But I don't know. I don't know if he even has suitors. I don't know if this is just a bluff, maybe, that these guys are saying, hey, you're stopping our guy from being able to be hired in this entire coaching search situation from these teams. But maybe they're just trying to do that just to get the contract over with and get his money.
A little pressure applied, never hurt if you try.
Exactly. So maybe this is just some sort of giant ploy by his front office to try to get the millions that he's owed.
And if this blows up in his face, then I think he'll definitely take the minimum wherever he can be employed at the end of the day.
Let's take a break real quick, my friend. On the other side, we'll get into some wrestling news before we get our guy Bolt Brady in here. We have an update from Penta on his injury. Plus,
Which was crazy to see.
Absolutely. And then plus, we got this audio from the AJ Lee interview I want to play for you guys. You guys got to go check this out. It's one of the best ones I've seen in a while. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Early bird special.
That whole JD Lincoln Park era wasn't too bad.
Dude, I'm telling
It
you, that was
wasn't
probably
too.
the first
It wasn't
time.
too bad.
That was probably
Man.
the first time though I ever heard people actually call into a radio station and request those like Linkin Park
The
songs.
remixes, yeah.
They never actually asked for the actual songs. They all just asked for those. Which again, I'm not complaining. That was a
Yeah,
fantastic album.
It was a great time.
That was one of the best albums of my childhood. I will not
Yeah,
lie.
it was a great time growing up hearing that. It was like worlds colliding.
Oh, 100%.
My brain was like bacon in a frying pan. Just
Absolutely. And you never really would have thought that a rapper would work with a rock band like that, but it really did work. It worked very, very well.
Yeah.
We do have some news for you out of the Penta camp real quick on his injury. He did post on his Twitter yesterday for
Let's
you
talk
wrestling
about it.
fans. He said, "Thank you for everyone who has checked in on me. This injury tested my body and spirit, but it also awakened the strength that has always guided me. I am a Mexican warrior forged in struggle, honor, and heart. And though the fall was hard, I rose with a fire stronger than ever. To my rival, my deepest respect. Thank you for your professionalism and for a clean, dignified battle. I recognize your dedication and honor. I will be back soon, stronger, more prepared, and determined to finish what I left pending. Thank you for standing with me because this war still has chapters to be written." That's a good sign, because that means that this may have been a very serious injury, which we had reported on yesterday, but it's not career threatening. He will be back, although there is no timetable as of right now.
Okay, stop right there. I got two things that I have a problem with. The injury looked legit. First and foremost.
Of course it is.
Okay, it looked legit.
Are we going to go down the Seth Rollins path?
We're not going down the Seth Rollins rabbit hole of WWE faking injuries.
Okay, I'm just saying.
It looked legit.
Right.
The problem that I have with it is the response and what's currently going on behind the scenes. Well, not really behind the scenes, but in between the scenes. That response sounded like it was generated by ChatGPT. The story that I left pending. Okay, look, man. You can laugh, you can get it. It's okay. I'm not taking that serious.
Shots at him. Come on.
I'm not taking the sauce out of it. I'm just saying it sounds ChatGPT generated. All right. Nonetheless, maybe it was translated for him, but he speaks good enough English in front of the camera to put together that statement by himself. I'm just saying, this is either going to impede the return of the Lucha Bros in AAA against Grande Americano and Dominic Mysterio, or it's a work. So I'm not saying it's 50-50, but how believable is this when somebody's trying to pop their shoulder back into place? Like I say, this ain't the movies. You pop your dislocated shoulder back into place on the scene, you got so much inflammation between those joints and ligament tears and whatnot. Somebody might pass out due to shock.
Fair.
I'm not saying he's not tough enough to handle that.
Most of them would probably be tough enough to handle that.
I don't know. You
take the shots you take on a daily basis. I'm pretty sure you could take putting your shoulder back into place.
Jumping off the top rope and landing on your back on the side of a mat about 2 inches thin, I definitely agree.
Not even just that. Take a back bump in general. Everybody
it'll knock the air out of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anybody who's never done it before, just fall backwards.
Yeah,
just
on your back.
See how your body actually responds to that, because I promise you, it's not going to be what you think.
You might crap yourself.
Honestly, I mean, you never know. You never know. But
hopefully he can recover from this and he's all right.
But are we really gonna, is every storyline going to come down to?
You got to question it. You got to question it.
See,
is every injury legit from the standpoint of a viewership of a fan? Ever since Seth Rollins pulled that janky move, you got to question everything. Unless I see it, unless I see an arm bend backwards, and even some of those guys are double jointed. We've seen it even with some of the girls. They're like quadruple jointed. And really, especially when you see arm snaps or dragon corkscrew leg takedowns and stuff, you really got to question the authenticity of the injury, because we know Triple H loves to lie. We'll just say it for the fans' sake. For the fans' sake of entertainment.
Is it lies though, or is it
storyline?
Strategic,
playing with your emotions? Yeah.
But not necessarily that. But like, look over here.
Yeah, wagging the dog, whatever it's called. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I won't sit here and say the injury is fake. I can't sit there and think every injury in wrestling is fake because one guy did it.
Yeah, legitimately, there are a lot of real ones, but this one, ever since, I gotta question everything.
No, that's fair. That's absolutely a fair statement. I just don't know if Penta would, or if they would really have Penta go down that route, because I think the original plan was to have Penta and Gunther.
Yeah.
Because the match makes more sense. It's a face against a heel, like we talked about yesterday. You never really get a heel versus a heel. That's why I think they're kind of blessed here with Gunther, because we don't know if he's really a heel yet.
Yeah, it's kind of up to the fans on how they receive him, because
he's kind of like Dom.
Yeah. It's like tweener, but at the same time, when you're such a good performer, it doesn't matter where they slot you. It's how the fans receive you.
Right.
And they could literally make you the trashiest, nastiest, diabolical guy. But if your performance is beyond measure or expectation, you end up in a Ludwig Kaiser situation. Like, this guy is so great at whatever they throw him. They put him in a mask to take the place of somebody else who is pretending to be someone else. So when you remove that 3 times from its actual conception,
and now has 2 cohorts as well that are supposed to be him.
This is where I'm talking about. No matter where they place you, it's how you rise to the occasion with given what they gave.
Right.
They gave him something that could have ended his career or totally dissipated behind the scenes. Now, my question is, what are they going to do when Chad Gable comes back and is healthy?
It's got to sprout a feud between the Grandes and American Made, because it has to. Like, there's no way. But now I'm also wondering if we're going to get a female in this.
Where's the team that was with Chad Gable? They've been off television this whole time, and really,
Creed brothers.
Yeah, I really thought they were going to be the guys that put
Ivy
on the
Nile
mask.
on Monday. Let's be fair.
And we
Ivy
haven't
did
seen her
make
in a while.
Appearance. Yeah, and they have she has a long rivalry with Maxine Dupree. So
which is great.
I knew her first match was going to be Ivy Nile. Let's be fair.
Ivy Nile is a generational talent. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real. They need to utilize her more. Maybe they've just been waiting for the right time to showcase her, especially. And I feel she's taking up the room in the air that Shayna Baszler once had.
Yes,
a very intimidating factor who's a no-nonsense technical whiz.
Yeah.
And strong as hell.
But I think that there was a negative thing that came with Shayna and Ronda, and when all of them came over, it was not necessarily negative in a way where people didn't respond well to them.
Yeah.
But I think they didn't respond well to the product at times, especially Ronda. We all know the outburst that Ronda had with the product and how it was run and how it was booked and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But it, like with Shayna, I don't think that her talents really ever translated well to the WWE ring. I think we always wanted it to, but ultimately it was a UFC match. She was all, like, everything she was in, especially her main ones at the end, were all UFC based fights.
Yeah.
None of them were really wrestling matches.
I really, as much as I wanted to like Ronda Rousey's last match with Shayna, it just felt
empty. It didn't feel like a WWE match.
And really, you could, the people, I have some difficulties in, because I want to like it so much, but the way Ronda played herself in WWE going out really, I think, took a lot away from Shayna Baszler and how the company, I'm glad they still utilize her behind the scenes and coaching and everything else.
Right.
But I felt like it put a drag on the momentum that she was having, especially with them as a tag team. As a tag team, they should have been undefeated.
Yeah.
Female Legion of Doom type of energy. You can't get around over or under these gals, because they will kick anybody in.
No, I agree.
I mean,
with that.
and you kick you in the chest and make you fold up like an envelope.
You know what's funny is, if they would have held on to both of them now, their role in WWE would have made more sense.
Yeah.
You could have made an entire MMA faction. You could have made Ronda, Shayna, Lola Vice, Natalia. Damien could have been a part of it. You could have had Aleister Black a part of it. You could have had a whole MMA faction in the WWE, which would have been an interesting storyline that you could have built around.
To that.
Exactly.
And we could have got that instead of Raw Underground. Man, you talking crazy, bro. Let's get to the next one. Come on, stop.
I'm just saying.
We can't get
I'm
into
just
this.
saying.
We're going down the rabbit hole.
Absolutely. Let's take a break. We are about that time to call in our guy, Bolt Brady, to get his picks
Bolt
of the
Brady!
week. Hopefully he'll let you, or help you, win some money as we watch some fantastic football on our Thanksgiving break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And don't forget, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll be right back.
Go.
Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. It's time to call in our guy, Bolt Brady from Bolt Brady and his bro to get his picks of the week, since we will be dark tomorrow and Friday due to the Thanksgiving holiday. And we got a fantastic slate of football to talk about. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing great. Dark tomorrow and Friday, but we've got games for each day.
Absolutely.
Yes,
First
sir.
and foremost, before we get to your picks, I got to get your thoughts on the college football playoff rankings, shake-up. What do you think about Oregon jumping over Ole Miss?
I think for the most part, those rankings are pretty accurate, the way that they're looking to me.
I have to agree. The way that they map it is usually a good route when it comes to the playoffs, at least. The top 25 can get shaky, but the playoffs themselves, they're pretty good.
They are. And, at the end of the day, it typically the cream rises to the top. So it doesn't really matter the rankings too much.
Absolutely. And I mean, that USC-Oregon game was entertaining, but ultimately didn't go my way, obviously. But it is what it is. We got a fantastic one this weekend, though, as Ohio State and Michigan revived their rivalry. Do you got a pick for us in that one?
I'll tell you this. Typically, when I look at rivalry week, which is a fantastic weekend, I look at the team that's getting the points, and if they're at home as well, that's a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, I will take the dog there at home getting the points, but I don't know. Michigan just isn't doing it for me. I'm going to stay away from that game.
Are you? Okay, fantastic. I mean, again, I don't blame you. I'm not a big believer in the Wolverines this year. I don't think that they really have figured it out since their post-Harbaugh era. And Ryan Day is just making everybody look silly. But Ohio State, for some reason, every time they play Michigan, there's just something that happens where they fall apart. So that's what makes me worried about it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, that game, it sounds, I'm not a part of it, obviously, and I don't have any relatives out there, but it sounds just so crazy that it's almost like the fans don't care so much what the record is overall, just that they beat each other that year.
Absolutely. That's the long and short of it.
They're just out there having a good time, seems like.
Well, everybody's getting drunk at a college game, my friend. 100%. What are your picks of the week, my friend?
All right, well, let's start on Thanksgiving here. The Chiefs versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys defense, all we've heard is how terrible it is all year. But since they've got Quinnen Williams from the Jets,
it's galvanized,
that defense is way better. And so I like under 52.5 there. That's a lot of points.
Okay.
Friday, still in the NFL, the Bears play Philadelphia. Philadelphia had the meltdown against the Cowboys, but I like Philly -7 here. The Bears, here's who they've beat their last 6 games: Raiders, Commanders, Saints, Bengals, Giants, Vikings.
Right.
Not the death row of quarterbacks there.
Right.
No. And then also on Friday, a rivalry game. Here's kind of what I'm talking about. Georgia Tech versus Georgia. I like Georgia Tech plus the 13.5. Haynes King, the QB for Georgia Tech, he's a baller. They went to 8 overtimes last year in Georgia. So I like Georgia Tech at home this year.
Mm-hmm. And
then another rivalry game, the Iron Bowl, another home dog, Auburn plus 6.5 against Bama. Auburn's record looks terrible. They're 5-6. They've only lost one game by more than 7 points, and that was to Georgia by 10. So they're still a solid team.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, Sunday, my boy Kirk Cousins got us to the winning window last week. We're going to go with them again. The Kirk Cousins in Atlanta -2.5 versus the Jets.
I love that you have faith in my Falcons, sir, but I have zero faith in Kirk Cousins. I don't know. I am not in the camp, dude. I'm sorry. I don't there was a point where I said on this show, I hope to never see that man in a Falcons uniform again. And I'm still in that train. I'm not a Kirko fan. I'm glad he can beat some teams like the Saints, and hopefully he could beat the Jets. But I'm telling you, I have little faith in this man.
Well, that's how most people are. Yeah, and that's usually when you want to back a team, actually.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. Thank you, sir, for your picks. Have a fantastic holiday weekend, and we will talk to you next week.
You too. Bye, my friend.
Thank you. Let's take a quick break. On the other side, we got plenty of time to get into all the stuff we haven't been able to talk about throughout the week. Plus, we will get you ready for your Thanksgiving holiday as Stranger Things Season 5 gets started tonight.
Will Byers.
Where do you think this season's going, to be honest?
Okay, well, it's going to end.
Yeah, well, that's true. Let's leave it at that.
Know that.
Let's leave it at that. We're going to take a break real quick. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Yep, get ready to hear this song about 50 billion times in the next, month and a half?
Oh yeah.
Because this series is going to be going until New Year's as Stranger Things Season 5 gets ready to start tonight. And to be honest with you, I'm excited.
I'm ready for it.
This I have been talking to Sparky about Welcome to Derry for the last couple of weeks, and we have been spoiled by some fantastic
Great
shows on
show.
HBO. But Netflix is coming back with this one, baby.
Yeah, Welcome to
We're
Derry was kind of
reviving
like a substitute Stranger Things.
A little bit. And you know what? It's
no
always
disrespect
fun.
to it.
It's
a
honestly
great,
been fantastic.
Great show.
And were you the one who made the point that now we need another movie or something
Yeah.
of that nature? We need to explore
Yeah.
what happened before the book and all that type of
We
stuff.
need that. We need that.
And you're absolutely right on this. But I'm telling you right now, I think this final season of Stranger Things is going to start making people cry. We already cried when we lost Eddie last year. I can't remember his last name, but
I think definitely we're gonna lose, if not some of the main characters.
do you think so?
I'm just glad it finally came back because I figured these guys would be in college by the time they got back to film this.
I mean, well, they are in real life, to be completely honest with you. But that's kind of where I'm at with the story, though. They have to do a time skip, and we have to be seeing them at least in high school.
Almost.
At least. They can't play 12-year-olds as 24-year-olds. You know what I mean? Look real weird.
Kind of weird when you're going to Sadie Hawkins Day dance with a beard.
Exactly. So, but this season's going to be very, very entertaining in my opinion. But it's going to be a fantastic holiday weekend. I hope everybody enjoys it. Again, we are going to be dark tomorrow and Friday for the holiday. We'll be back on Monday. Myself and Sparky back in his chair December 1st. We're going to have a little bit of a shake-up in terms of the radio station. We'll be able to explain that on Monday.
It's going to be a good look. You guys
it's going to be fantastic. You guys are going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to move forward with some fantastic things as well. You got any plans for the holiday weekend, my friend?
I plan on actually frying a ton of catfish.
Oh, yeah.
And, along with the fried turkey. I plan on upping that straw about like 10 points. So a little bit of that. Really just kind of in awe of how long it took Stranger Things to come around and finalize. I'm excited about the character arcs, where they're going to go, how they're going to end. Where we left off at with the previous season is Maxine coming out of a coma. She's still in between. It's a lot that still has to be answered. The Hellfire Club, Justin kind of heading that up as far as the previews have alluded to. And Vecna, boy. And when I say we got a prime villain arc, it couldn't have been written any better. How they kind of tied together some referencing with Dungeons and Dragons and who might be Vecna's right hand as far as this.
Right.
Them alluding to it being one of the either former members of the cast that we've seen perish, maybe Maxine's brother, maybe it could be Eddie because he died via bats and all that other stuff. It could be Will's brother. We don't know. We've got to watch and find out. They're dumping the whole season tonight, right?
And no, it's just 4 episodes today.
Yeah,
you're going to get 3 on Christmas, I believe, and then the final 2, if I'm not mistaken, on New Year's Eve.
That's crazy.
So they're stretching this for a month, which again,
crazy.
I got no problem with. Each one of these, I think, are going to be about 2 hours long anyway.
Now I say, I'm gonna just wait for it all to drop, and I'll watch it in January.
No, you won't.
But that would be a lie.
No, you won't.
That would be a bold-faced lie. I'll be clutched on the couch with the popcorn and the sodas and all the little amenities I need to be entertained. Furthermore, by a franchise that I think we've all been on a nice little ride with for the last few years.
Oh, 100%.
Sad to see it end, but
a lot of these shows are ending, at least for me. I'm a big anime fan, so I just lost My Hero Academia just ended.
Well, they just copying John Cena. They just copying John
Everybody's
Cena.
ending at the perfect time. No, my friend, we're losing John Cena. We'll most likely be losing AJ Styles next year. Rey Mysterio and Sheamus are probably right behind them.
Yeah, ain't no telling the way Brock Lesnar is looking when he'll ever.
I don't think Brock and Randy, I think, are going to be going like Ric Flair, my friend. I don't think we're going to see those two end anytime soon because Brock can just run roughshod through anybody.
It made me laugh about how Bret Hart, he's been on a kind of a roll lately with the disrespect that he's been giving to people.
We didn't touch on this one.
Oh, Uncle Bret there, but he praised Brock Lesnar over Goldberg, and I'm like, I don't think if Bret Hart really worked with Brock Lesnar, he would be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
What are you going to say? He moved around 40 times as hard and as fast as he could, and I landed on my neck. I think Bret Hart would have had something to say about that.
Yeah. If Bret didn't like Goldberg, I don't think he's going to be liking working with Brock Lesnar.
Definitely.
But then again, Brock seems to be a safer worker than Goldberg was.
Actually, I'm gonna do some research on that, but I think you're right.
I don't know of anybody who's been seriously injured while working with Brock Lesnar, even though he had the Suplex City thing going for a while. Like, remember the match with John where I think he suplexed him, 12 times in a row?
Make you want to throw up.
Absolutely. Like, don't get me wrong, it obviously wasn't the plan, and Brock goes out of the norm all the time, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's an unsafe worker.
Nah, not by that degree. I haven't seen Brock fatally or seriously injure anyone ever.
No.
I'm trying to think about it, but I really no.
He's a constant professional, dude.
Yeah.
He's been a combat fighter his entire life. Like,
I've seen a dark match in Brock's earlier career where he went up against Kurt Hennig, formerly known as Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
And he took the L because he was a rookie. It was a dark match, but no, I forget. Those two guys are from Minnesota. They have the whole background of the wrecking crew type of deal because Minnesota wrestlers are known for being official, like Steiner, whatnot. That whole collegiate era of guys that have that full range flow of wrestling that go into the WWE is phenomenal.
Right.
So that saying that couples in with how safe these guys can be with their opponents because of their experience in real wrestling.
Right.
They know, like, hey, if I really put leverage on this limb here, something bad can happen. So let's avoid all that and give it the look without the execution.
That's what, and actually, now that we were talking about the MMA faction, it just dawned on me Brock could be one of the members of the faction if he ever wanted to be. Brock Lesnar's been very vocal that he doesn't really join factions at all. He just runs solo. But I don't know. I've always said Brock Lesnar, although looking very, very intimidating and amazing presence, obviously, he's gonna. I've never seen him actually hurt somebody.
Yeah,
like out of his way hurt somebody.
Let's hope
unless it's part
like
of a storyline.
Let's hope it stays like that.
Because even the Kimura armbar he uses sometimes can really mess somebody up.
Yeah.
So to be fair, he hasn't done that unless it's part of a storyline. Because we all saw the Cody situation, but again, storyline. Yeah. He didn't actually hurt Cody's arm.
Now, in a let's just suspend like kayfabe real quick. In a real altercation, who do you think would be able to give Brock Lesnar a run for his money?
In the WWE?
Yes.
Like in an actual fight?
Yes.
Oh, God, no one.
I hear rumors that Chris Jericho put him in a headlock.
Probably sneaking up on him.
I don't know. Maybe jump down from the ceiling like Batman. It was like, gotcha.
Exactly. No. Chris Jericho, you're going to sit there? No. No way.
Currently, no.
Maybe Oba?
Maybe Oba. I want to say Rusev. Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be a tough SOB.
Yeah.
Sheamus too, I guess.
Yeah,
but again, I don't think if you put all these men in an octagon together,
I think Brock Lesnar's still coming out on top, clean. You know,
Yeah.
in a match wise, I would love to see Rusev and Brock and these guys that never got an opportunity to really get on the main stage with somebody of that caliber.
Traditional wrestling, yeah.
Yes, traditional WWE style,
Greco-Roman.
but in a real street fight altercation. No. Call the National Guard. We're not breaking that up.
We're not breaking that up.
Yeah, we're not having
no one's touching Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
That's probably the only UFC fighter that every human being looks at and says, I'm not even trying to fight.
Nah.
Because let's be honest, everybody gets a pop or two in them when they see a UFC fighter or a professional fighter at a bar.
If you look at his record from when he was in UFC, it was no joke.
No, absolutely not. And again, he was a monster for a reason. So no, Brock Lesnar is a god. And I will stand on that one. Nobody can beat that man in the fight. Maybe John Jones. But again, we're now reaching into the UFC faction of all of this. Real quick, since we got a couple minutes, I'd love to play this audio for you, get your thoughts, and we'll get our thoughts on Saturday's Survivor Series in San Diego. A lot of S's there.
Yeah. Say that 7 times,
right? Real quick, AJ Lee had a very, very good interview with Stephanie McMahon on her podcast over the end. Oh, that's not what's supposed to be playing. Apologies on that. And she talked a lot about her struggles with bipolar disorder and what she has to go through in terms of just keeping herself level. But the main thing that they wanted to talk about was the altercation between AJ Lee and Stephanie McMahon years ago, which people believe got her fired from the WWE in the first place, when Stephanie McMahon tried to essentially highlight that women weren't getting paid the same as men at this time. But AJ took it upon herself to take some shots at Stephanie, because obviously she's trying to speak out against this, but Stephanie's or Stephanie at the time was not doing anything for the divas, as they were calling them in the WWE, to get them equal pay, even though their merchandise and their viewership was just as good, if not better, than most of the men. So let's hear from AJ Lee real quick on this, and then we will talk about it on the other end.
In general, I'm fairly direct. I try not to be rude. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I have no filter, and so it's an excuse for being rude. But like, I think you can be direct, but very practical. And so I felt like it was coming from like a practical place, very direct. But I also was a bit like, I ain't got nothing to lose right now.
Yeah.
and
you were champ at the time.
I was champ
so
at the
actually
time.
did have a lot to lose. But I was actually happy that you posted that. I wasn't happy that it was directed at me, because it wasn't anything I had direct control over. But I was really happy that you did, because that movement, the whole women's evolution in WWE, it didn't happen because of executives, or it didn't happen because, I mean, maybe along the way, people voicing their opinions, but it really happened because of the women who paved the way all the way back to the beginning of all of these incredible women who have been inside the squared circle, no matter what promotion they were in.
I bring this up just for the sole fact of, one, go check out the interview, as we've been telling you all throughout this show. But two, my friend, obviously, if it wasn't for AJ Lee making those kinds of moves, as Stephanie McMahon highlights, if it wasn't for them speaking out for equal pay and all of that, we wouldn't be having a female War Games match at all on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Even with or without AJ Lee in it. So, one, let's talk about the entire impact of the move as a whole, because one, as she stated, she was the champ at the time, had a lot to lose, and still spoke out for women's rights, and essentially what everybody believes
at a time
led
when it
to
was
her
not
firing.
popular. This is before the movements and everything else that was going on, and it was I think staring WWE in the face for a long time. It's just that the people who were in charge at that current administration point didn't see any value in the further investment. Now, once those things changed, you got Triple H down there in NXT.
Right.
You've got the first Mae Young Classic. You've got the women's tournaments that followed after that. Changing the Divas title to an actual properly suited name, the Women's World Championship title.
Right.
To the current point of now where we have mid-card championship titles for the women's division, none of that would have been possible without the impact of AJ Lee, her assertiveness in essentially putting WWE on blast. Now, as we know, who was in charge at that time, Stephanie couldn't do anything per se, but her voice was still a very important tool in moving this thing forward and getting it initially off the ground. She's a cornerstone in that movement, but it's also, like she says, everybody that took a bump, that did a move, that got hurt, put forth the effort in front of the screen and behind it, that really advocated and pushed. And I think also Triple H, being a father of 3 daughters, really had to just go to the old man and say, look, bro,
what would you do if it was your daughters?
Can you really sit here and say like you're doing everything for the women in this company? And we knew what Vince was doing to the women in those companies.
Well, now especially with all of it coming to light with the docuseries and stuff.
Yeah, it's a shame how it took so long to happen, but also the talent that has risen from those, the seeds that were planted, have grown not just fruit and bared fruit for the company. Those roots have stretched out to every company in the world. You see every company now taking their women's division way more serious, especially AEW. Even New Japan, CMLL, AAA, there is now a place instead of just tolerance for women in professional wrestling, how I feel previously. We would get these diva matches, we would get these novelty gimmick matches that were, at the time, we were too young to understand what we were seeing, but as an adult and as a professional, when you're grading this, it was very derogatory, very demeaning, very sexualized in the aspect of someone's personal entertainment for them and not the overall foresight of the project. I mean,
Right.
of the product. And that's really what it comes down to, you know, getting Vince McMahon out of there, getting people who are more in tune in the world now and how things are looked at, affected, the policies that go along, because products now, you have board members that are like, okay, we're going to present this, that. WWE wasn't at the time a publicly traded company.
Mhm.
It was still private. Once it became publicly traded, now you've got to answer to some people. You can't just go up on there and wear a do-rag and holler racial slurs and sexually harass people on air and think it's funny.
Lean on stereotypes for your wrestlers.
Exactly. And think it's funny because you're, quote unquote, playing a character. And as things have come out over the years, we kind of know where that befell to. But, you know, they're absolutely right. Without this whole conversation, I'm glad to see the maturity at its finest between these two figureheads in wrestling, because AJ Lee walked away with nothing to lose or anything to gain coming back. You can tell she really loves this business. I think the last time we seen her wrestle before this was in that show Heels.
Yes.
And
she did mention during the interview as well.
Yeah,
that she'll be writing a Dragon Ball Z movie.
Now, see, that's what I'm talking about here, folks.
She started a production company with a friend of hers called Scrap Productions, if I'm not mistaken. And she mentions that in the interview that she will be writing a Dragon Ball Z movie amongst other things for other companies.
I'm ready for a Dragon Ball Z movie, an accurate Dragon Ball Z movie.
It's not live action. It's not live action. I believe this is going to be an animated.
Cool. Let's keep it anime.
Continue.
Let's keep it anime.
We're going to continue the story of Goku in the animated sense, not bring back the Dragon Ball Evolution garbage that we saw a couple years ago.
I'd rather take a shot of hot cat vomit than watch that movie ever again in my life. It was really punch me in the ear.
It was really
rather than watch that.
I have to agree with you. Real quick, with the last minute we have, obviously Saturday night's I keep wanting to call it that. Survivor Series in San Diego. Let's go down the list real quick. Men's War Games match. Who you got?
I want to say Team Roman, but I wouldn't be surprised if the heels actually pull it off this year.
I think Brock betrays the rest of the team, and we see Team Roman pull it off at the end.
Hey, that would be
Women's
cool.
side. Who you got?
I'm going with Team Becky.
I'm going Team Rhea.
I'm going Team Becky, man.
I'm going Team Rhea on this one.
Well, look, everybody will take an L at that point.
Then our two title matches, Dom versus John Cena. Does John lose the belt?
Yeah.
You think Dom takes it back?
Yeah, because I don't think John Cena's losing his last match. I think he's actually going up. He's going out on top.
You think so?
I think so.
You know what? If he does lose, then I think you're right on that one. But I think John holds on to the belt. And then final match, obviously, Stephanie and Nikki. Stephanie.
Yeah, come on, man. Why are we even bringing that garbage up, bro? Don't piss me off.
Well, we got to call about all of them. We got to call all of them. Thank you guys for joining us. Enjoy your Thanksgiving break.
Happy holidays,
be back
folks.
on Monday. Sparky back in the chair as well. We got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. KG, let's get out of here.
Peace.